Hello, 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 and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification button so you don't miss any of my videos. All right, I'm going to recap episode 4. I am a huge fan of reality TV. There's not enough time in the world to watch it all. So I said, hey, let me recap because I like this show. And I thought I was doing good. I was watching on my phone, and I was taking screen. I'm like, oh, this picture's good. This picture's gonna be the bomb on my recap. And everything was coming up black because there are some kind of trademarks, so they don't let you take the pictures and put them on your video. So I'm like, maybe I'll start recapping in person, and not do the faceless. We'll see. Maybe for the next recap or recap after next, I'll come on camera. Let's get going. You may hear some papers ruffling in the background. I'll try not to make it too loud. Episode 4. It starts off with the face-to-face murder. Caroline, Lisa, and Eric and Ron were up for murder. So they replay the scene. They have the breakfast and they show everybody coming in. I think Monet's group comes in first. And Monet wants to hear everybody's story that was up for murder, to get details to see who possibly was a traitor and who wasn't, that was up for murder. So at the end of it all, everybody comes in, and the only person that does not show back up is Caroline Stansberry from Real Housewives of Dubai. And when they show the murder, Caroline sees the traitors, Lisa, Candiace, and Rob from Love Island. And Caroline was like, what? A housewife? You're murdering another housewife? She's like, I'm going to see you again. I'll see you at BravoCon. And Lisa Ritter's like, no, you won't. So I was thinking, well, why won't Lisa see Caroline at BravoCon? Is she thinking Caroline will never be invited because her show is on hold? Or is Lisa never going to come back to BravoCon because she's gone on to bigger and better things? I don't know. We gotta try to, look into that at some point or another. So anyway, the breakfast is set up as nicely as can be. The faithfuls are very, very convicted with, strong convictions with who they think the traitors are, and they're all wrong. So when they're asking those that come in, like, what was it like when they were in the woods about to be murdered, Ron says he hears tiny little feet, and he's thinking that it's Mara that could be a traitor. Dorinda says she was worried about Lisa being murdered. Lisa walks in, asks what the process was for murder, and she describes it, with a lot of emotion, and that becomes suspicious at some point. Eric walks in, he describes what happened with him, and then he says he's going to hold it for later, but he thinks he heard a laugh. He thinks he heard a laugh, and we don't know what laugh he thinks he heard. I was thinking it was Candiace, but turns out he thinks he heard someone else's laugh, so we'll get to that. Kristen was up for murder, okay? But at the end of the day, like I said, Caroline ends up being the one murdered. So after they realize who doesn't show up and that Caroline is gone, then they start the conversation of who they think the traitor is or whatever. And Colton feels bad because he's the reason Caroline was even in the running for murder because of his shaky hands. Candiace is doing too much, in my opinion. Jam is trying to question people. He mentions something about the murder ceremony, and they're like, well, why would he say ceremony? Maybe he's the traitor or whatever. Candiace makes it known that she still wants Ron out. She thinks Ron is the traitor, even though Candiace is the traitor, but she's going to be consistent and not make herself so obvious as the traitor. And now Colton is saying he got his claws in Tiffany. He's going to go around and try to make everybody think that Tiffany is the traitor. All the while, Rob is not coming off as suspicious at all. He's playing the game really well. Like, I haven't heard anyone. Oh, you know what? Michael said at some point that the three hunks, he said, out of the three hunks, Rob, Colton, and who else was he talking about? Was it Steven? He's like, one of them has to be the traitor. One of them has to be the traitor. I don't think anybody's listening to Michael, though. Everybody thinking Michael just needs to get out, whether he's a traitor or faithful or whatever. So anyway, moving on to the challenge. I'm sorry, I call it the challenge, but they call it missions. So they have some big beast mission, okay? During the big beast challenge, where they have to go and find some doll and go and find some steak and light a big beast on fire while yelling someone's name, who will end up losing their shield in the process. They have this challenge or mission, and Monet slips up and tells Candiace that he thinks Lisa is a traitor. Monet, why would you A, assume Candiace is not a traitor, and B, why would you make that mistake and tell anyone you think anyone is a traitor? Why? I heard somewhere him and Candiace supposedly had some kind of pact. Apparently not. Because Candiace feels like she needs to tell Lisa, and she does tell Lisa that Monet says her name. So, of course, Monet has to go. So, during this mission, Michael yells Tara Lipinski's name. Michael, Natalie, Steven were on a team. Colton, Kristen, Mark were on a team. Lisa, Candiace, and Monet and Eric were on a team. Ron, Jam, and Tiffany were on a team. And then Tara, Dorinda, Mara, and Rob were on a team. Michael's team gets Tara and Johnny out, so they're no longer safe. Colton's team gets Lisa and Ron out, so they're no longer safe. Lisa's team gets Tiffany out, and Monet lights Tiffany ablaze. So when Tiffany finds out, she makes sure that Monet gets lit up. Like a Christmas tree. Ron's team gets Mara out. Let's see. Mara and Monet. Tara's team gets Steven and Michael out. And Mark Ballas, who I hope to go far. He's a faithful from Dancing with the Stars. He lights the last one and yells out Jam Jam. Okay. I think everybody that lights someone on fire makes himself a target. Okay. Jam Jam, once he finds out his beast went ablaze or whatever, he's no longer safe. He cries, and Lisa's like, he's fake crying. You know, Lisa and Candiace are actresses. So right away, Lisa's like, Jam Jam's fake crying. Like, I didn't believe Jam Jam. Like, I didn't believe in that one bit. And Jam Jam, you're suspecting, you're a gamer. I don't think Jam Jam's going to go that far. But hey, he's giving it the old college try, right? So at the end of it all, Mara is pissed at Ron. And Michael Rappaport eats like an animal. Did y'all see Michael Rappaport shoving or raking raking food into his mouth from that plate? What the heck is wrong with Michael Rappaport, y'all? What the heck is wrong with Michael? Mark Ballas is giving Kenny G realness. He said somebody's hair grew out. It don't look like his hair, but I guess it is. I don't know. Again, Colton from The Bachelor. I told y'all Colton was going to get on my nerves. And he is. Every moment he's on the screen, he's getting on my goddamn nerves. He wants Tiffany out so bad. I'm like, why was Tiffany a target for you, dude? Like, isn't most people saying who they think the traitor is? Why is Tiffany on your radar? Why do you want her out so bad? She's not the only gamer. Why you not going for Jam Jam? Why you not going for Steven? Huh? And again, Candiace is staying consistent. She wants Ron out of the game. So she's very, very smart. she is going for someone. She's naming a name, but she's not all over the place. So she's playing the game very, very well. I'm not a big fan of Candiace as far as Housewives of Potomac is concerned, but she's talented. She's smart. She's a good person at the end of the day, and she's playing the game. All right, so next we have the round table, which was very, very eventful. Colton, you know, talks about Tiffany. You know, it made me cry, y'all. It really hurt my heart because Tiffany had to defend herself. She did it very well, but Colton was just so insistent on getting her out of there. You know, it just didn't work in her favor. But during this round table, Tiffany, Colton, and Jam Jam face off. Ron and Mara face off because Ron thinks those light feet he heard when he was about to be murdered were Mara's, even though I'm like, why couldn't it be Candiace, you big dope? Ron still needs to go, in my opinion. And once Colton said something about Tiffany, Eric Nam, who I've never heard a song from a day in my life, says that he heard that laugh and he thinks it's Tiffany. Again, why would you not think it's Candiace or Lisa's laugh? Why would you think it's Tiffany's laugh? You know Tiffany enough to know how she laugh? Huh? Huh? So, in conclusion, Colton and Eric are the reason Tiffany is eliminated. And she says, you know what? Y'all get what y'all deserve. She kind of made it seem like she was a traitor at first when she gave her speech bidding farewell. And she said, y'all don't deserve me. I was a faithful. Peace out. You know, and they're like, oh, Eric has the biggest reaction, like, oh, why are you that shocked? You don't know that girl's laugh. You don't know how Tiffany laughs. Why would you say her name? And, you know, turns out Michael Rappaport and Tiffany were cool. They were close. Remember, Tiffany was trying to tell Michael to reel it in, calm down, and he just couldn't help himself. Caroline and Tiffany bite the dust, and they were both faithful. So the traitors are doing a good job because the faithfuls are drawing all this attention to themselves and pointing out the wrong people as traitors. You know, Tiffany needs this money. She says she has to send her boy to college. Candiace knew that, and I thought Candiace was going to give herself away with all the crimes she was doing at the elimination. That's why she kind of tried to shift things over to Ron, but they're just not, you know, the votes were still kind of split, but most of them voted for Tiffany just because I don't get this part of the round table where just because one person says somebody's name, then, oh, I'm just going to go. I don't think it's that kind of game where you like the challenge, like the show, The Challenge, where you vote for whoever's name comes out first because you don't want people to come for you. I don't think they have to do that like that. I would think it'd be better to split the votes up, and then that way, if you go home, it really was just your time to go home because I don't know. Y'all get what I'm saying? Like, I think it's like a cop out and it's weak for so many people to vote for the same person when you're not even that convinced or convicted about that person being a traitor. And as you see, it's not working. It's not working. Like, go with your own mind, your own gut. Don't go because somebody else is saying they think that person is a traitor. I was teary-eyed, y'all, when Tiffany had to go. Tiffany was crying. Candiace was crying. Okay, Michael voted for Ron. And somewhere in there, Colton, who I can't stand, looks at Candiace, gives Candiace kind of side eye. I'm like, uh-oh. So anyway, at the end of the episode, I believe the traitors deliberate. And I think in this episode, Candiace tells Lisa about Monet. All right, so drop down in the comments and let me know what y'all think about episode 4. I will come back with episode 5. Again, I'll try my best with the pictures and stuff, but I can't screenshot from the app. They said I looked up some way you can kind of maybe grab some stuff, but then I might end up getting a copyright strike, so I don't want to do that. So as far as the traitors are concerned, I think Rob as the traitor is playing a good game. Lisa is kind of going a little over the top, you know, and Candiace is too. And I think in the bottom of my soul that Rob is going to end up selling out the Traitors, the other Traitors. All right. Well, let me know what y'all think. Let me know if I left something out. And let me know what you think about the recap. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. And hit the notification button so you don't miss any of my videos. Bye.